What's up, guys? We'll get started in a sec here. Nice, nice. Okay, one sec, guys. Okay. One sec, guys. We're gonna start in 1 minute. Hold on. Get this thing going. All right. Let's see. So yeah, I'm long AGRX right now. Kind of speculative. This drop back in May was from some FDA denial news, and then they kind of popped because they were going to be resubmitting, and then they denied it or something like that. They dropped some more, and now they've officially got their. Sorry, one second. Now their formal dispute resolution is complete. That being said, obviously there's no news from the FDA regarding whether or not they're going to reverse their decision, but it's at least they've accepted it. It's in play. So there's the catalyst. It's it's a biotech, and it's very sketchy. This isn't something where I'm going to wait for FDA news and try to swing it. Right now I've got 10,000 shares, 77 cents. And I'm just kind of trying to be patient, see if we get another perk back towards the buck and maybe gap up tomorrow. $1.50 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too patient and being a little greedy here. I'm up $1,000. Which was kind of my idea in the first place, was to maybe take 10 cents or something like that on a slow day like today. Slow-ish. There's been some stuff moving. Yeah, my average is at 70. It says 78, but it's 0.774 or 775. I just grabbed it here once we had this third higher low, and kind of started to perk back through. It wasn't. It's kind of speculative, but I've got a couple cents risk. I'm risking 75, 73 cents, something like that. If it gets back down to 75, she's probably dead for the day. So we'll see. It's nothing major, but I'm sitting pretty right now in this position at least. So I'm going to see if it can hold VWAP going into maybe the last hour here of the day, and maybe get a pop, but you know, I'm a little torn. It is up quite a bit already, but it's holding up. So we'll see. Maybe we get somewhat of a gap fill kind of thing going on tomorrow. That's that. Let me hold on one second. I just want to apologize for being so freaking absent for the last couple weeks. Obviously, the conference, the DVD is just weighing heavy on me. It's in final edits, so it's almost there. But, you know, there's, you know, that's basically, yeah, it's been consuming me for the last month. But we're almost there, man. It should, you know, it should be out in the next 2 weeks. I'll get final edits Monday. I'm going to shoot copies of it to you guys hopefully next week so you can kind of, you know, taste test it and let me know what you guys think. But once that's out, man, we'll go to work. We'll get a lot of sessions in. I'm really sorry that I've been so freaking absent. Notice a lot of name changes, a lot of shit going on. And I want to make good on, you know, our agreements. So regardless, like whatever happens, we'll be hitting it hard right when this DVD is released, and then, you know, I'll extend everyone's time a couple months or whatever we have to do. So, you know, you're getting your what you're paying for. Let's see here. Yeah, conference was good. Just mostly newbies and just fucking crazy, dude. Like, you got Tim just like shooting shirts into the crowd and like grown men diving over tables and laptops to get these Karmagawa shirts and shit. It's wild. A lot of newbies. It's just fucking crazy. I can't even explain it. Just like, I was inundated the whole time. Just like couldn't leave my room because people start creeping up, and then you have a crowd, and it's like, dude, it was wild. But it's all right. It was fun. Got to hang out with Huddy a little bit. He's a good kid. Hung out with Gratani, who's the man. And we're all going to Traders for a Cause this weekend, so I'll be leaving Thursday for Traders for a Cause. On Friday, I have like a golf tournament, so I won't be present on Thursday or Friday. Maybe Thursday morning we'll be able to do a webinar, but we'll see. Yeah, so this is where things stand right now. As soon as this DVD gets out, like, we'll hit the ground running again. Meanwhile, I'll try to do as many webinars as I can over the next couple weeks anyways. In terms of the markets, obviously, you know, the weed thing has died down a little bit. God, I just didn't play it right. I didn't play that sector right. The cron move, NBEV was one of my worst trades this year. We'll go over that in a second. NBEV, Cron, Tilray, you know, CGC, any of the listed ones that were running, I missed. That's not true. I made 5K on NBEV. Cron, I lost a K. It was just really pathetic trading, like really pathetic. Cron, I took $1,000 loss on, but I was up heavily on this day where it broke out past the 13 mark. And Tilray ran to 300, and I got super greedy with my position, and I went from being like 8 grand up or however much, 10 grand up. I watched it fade that for like forever that day. As soon as, you know, Tilray went parabolic kind of into the afternoon, and yeah, I just got super greedy. Ended up taking $1,000 loss. That was my worst trade of the year so far, which is, it's funny because it's only $1,000 loss. It's not my biggest loss of the year, but it was just such terrible trading. It was one of those days where you feel like a noob and it's like, what the fuck am I doing? But it's all right. Live and you learn. Cron, NBEV was my trade from last week. I made 5K on. I was... And this was a shit trade too. I was actually on my way home from the conference, trading on the plane and getting too aggressive with shitty Wi-Fi and just like put myself in a dumb situation. I ended up with on this day, this is when I was flying home, obviously it was pressing resistance, then pulled back pre-market the next day. and then popped. And I chased this day. Like, I saw the gap down. I was chasing like a red green move. I ended up with 8,000 shares at $8 from averaging down. Like, it was really, really bad. So I averaged down to $8. The stock was still, it was at like 780, 770. Then my Wi-Fi cut out. And I was about 20, 30 minutes from landing. So by the time I could get the Wi-Fi back up, I had to turn my shit off. And I was like, I was like sitting on my laptop till the last second. And then the Wi-Fi cut out completely again because they turn it off or whatever when you're landing. By the time I got my computer back up, I was down 12 grand on that trade, and it was fucking terrible. Only reason I didn't eat the loss was because of the low the previous day where it held 650. So this is just me managing loss. It could have turned into a shitty bag hold, but I got a little bit lucky. So, you know, my trading has not been as sharp as it should be. I'm still doing okay. But amidst everything that's going on, I'm just not as sharp. I need to be sharper. But here's the 15-minute chart of NBEV. And yeah, so I was buying one of these days. I believe I bought gap down day, kind of perked. Let's see, 8. Yeah, it was this day. So I was basically playing off the low of the day before. The next morning I held, and my plan was to cut if 650 snapped, you know, decisively, and it didn't. So I literally just held it, and it actually rallied. It rallied. It got back to 850, and I took the trade off. Like, I was trying to play it really. Actually, I didn't take the trade off till this day. I did get a gap up. I took some off at 9, and then I took some off, you know, into this weakness. It wasn't great. The whole trade sucked. But the reason is because I was being irresponsible. You know, I'm doing Wi-Fi on a plane, taking too much size on a chase, and then ending up, you know, pretty dead. Would have been my biggest loss of the year had I eaten it. But like I said, at this point, when it's down in the, you know, sub 7, I wanted to see 650 test. It's just one of those things that I was able to be patient because it tested a couple times and held. And I just did not want to sell dead bottom. So it ended up working out okay, but a fucking terrible trade. And that's kind of the story of me and the listed pot stocks, at least for, you know, the last 2 months. So that freaking blows, but that's all right. Anyways, like I said, I'll be making shit up to you guys. We'll get kicking on here. Hopefully we'll see some listed movement. It kind of, you know, last month it picked up a little bit. I think partially obviously due to the listed weed stocks. And some kind of random reverse split stocks that were running, but they did super quick offerings. There have been quite a few pops and like quick offerings lately that have just been kind of killing momentum. So I'm still being careful. You know, I'm still being very selective. Oh shit, AGRX, I totally have been ignoring that. It's your guys' fault. So what we got going on here. Well, that's lame-o. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not gonna, if this gets back down past like 75 cents, I'm just gonna take it off. I don't want to really eat too much of a loss on this if need be. But there's time. I'll give it time. So, I mean, today, in terms of today, we had like VT this morning, which was on my radar. You know, I saw it kind of pop in. We all did. Chart's kind of interesting. You know, it was parabolic. Crazy supernova, 2-day supernova, red day, gap up red day, and then basically a 3 hold for the last 2 days. It is interesting to me that it's holding up this high. That being said, massive volume this day. And most of it was, you know, above this 340 level. A lot of bag holders, fresh bag holders on this chart. super fresh. You know, I mean, there are a lot of people who typically when you're bag holding, and it's happened to me, like it sucks, dude. And your tolerance for how long you're going to hold this bag can only last so long. But I mean, a couple days after the move, yeah, there are going to be tons of bag holders. As this thing fades eventually and people keep capitulating, it'll be a little different. But for now, this is still a bag holder setup to me. This is still like a reshort to me for, you know, for those purposes. And I don't see too much. Oh, look at and obviously the intraday chart's taking a dump now. So this thing's pretty dead to me. And like I said, bag holders, you guys all know this by now, freaking kill these moves. So if you're not in on like that initial bounce move in the morning and out, this is all I would have played this morning. You know, I'm not looking for continuation on this guy for now. Keep an eye on it. It would take probably a PR of sorts and something powerful to get this thing back through that $6 level. AGRX, I was watching AGRX yesterday. Had a perk and then, you know, closed near its lows, and I thought it was freaking dead. Obviously, they had the PR this morning that they signed a piece of paper, like Jesse said. And, you know, it did bring some volume in, and it's holding up okay. Ultimately, I think this fails, obviously, and I probably should have taken my grand and ran today, you know, considering the climate of what we're doing right now and the climate of the markets. But shit, I got a little greedy. I was hoping for maybe we get, you know, kind of a high day press, but if this doesn't get back over VWAP soon, for me, it's probably screwed. So there's that. OHGI is another one. This popped yesterday. It was one of the percent gainers from yesterday afternoon. And it's just such a dog, this stock, and it's already pretty extended. I mean, it has some room to run. You know, this kind of chart, this has some room to run. It could get up to like 75 cents or something tomorrow for all we know. But I'll probably leave it alone. Such a dog. YGYI was one I was watching pretty intently, and I'm really glad I didn't trade midday. That being said, this could set up and break out. Like, you know, they have hemp water or some shit. So I mean, this could set up. We'll see what it does here at VWAP. I'm not really looking to buy it in case this is just a straight double top, which it is for now. 950, 952 double top. So we'll see. It's holding up decently. It's not the end of the world that it's sitting down here in the high eights. I think if it closes over 9, that would be best case scenario, obviously. But so YGAYI is one I've actually been, I'm sure all of you have kind of seen for multiple days now. It's been pretty volatile. What else for today? SAEX. People were saying Tim bought this, and the 1 minute chart tells the story. It's a pretty low float, super low float. Obviously, Tim's people come in. Tim bought the dip. What dip did Tim buy? Does anyone know where Tim bought it? Like 805 or something? Oh, he averaged down? Interesting. And then sold at 9. Wow. Okay. Good sells there. Good sells there. He top ticked to that bad boy. Anyways, okay, so yeah, that makes sense. This is what a chat pump looks like. So I did see that there was like a 13G or something that was filed, but that usually means nothing. DTEA was another one that was popping at the same time. Could have been a chat pump. Actually was doing decent volume, but just super ugly chart. I mean, super volatile, but just so freaking ugly. All of this is like, there's nothing you can do with this. Bag holders, bag holders, bag holders. Just total garbage. Like, I don't know what you would do with this. And then so I probed to see if there was anything. There was another 13G or whatever on this guy. That's it. And then I went back a little further to see what was going on here, and they're saying they have no clue. Anytime a company says they have no clue what's going on, that's never good. Hawkeye saying Dekmar was in a GRX in the low 80s. Okay. No comment. No comment on that guy. But we're trading in a really interesting time. Like there's so many chats now, and there's so many chat pumps. Like, it's crazy. So, I mean, I truly believe a lot of these moves start with chat pumps, and then volume may or may not come in. And that's why I like, when I'm playing low floats, especially, the catalyst is so freaking important with listed stocks. Like, if there's a catalyst, I'm fine with it starting as a chat pump. Okay, like a lot of moves do start as chat pumps, and that's fine. I just want to know what happens after the pump. Okay, so like once the pump's done, is real like trading volume going to come or not? And all of you know exactly what that looks like a chat pump and then volume. It's a totally different thing. You see the chat pump, it's kind of low volume, medium volume, and then whammo, you see like massive volume that progresses, and then midday will die down and then picks back up end of day. Like when massive volume comes in, you can feel it. So I have no problem playing a chat pump, as long as that's, as long as I'm not thinking it's just going to be a chat pump. Like when you see that low volume perk and then drop off and then volume disintegrate, like that's a chat pump, and it's most times it's dead. But when you see it, start to set a higher low and then big volume start to come in, that's what you're looking for. And the only way that you can increase the odds of actual volume coming in are to have an actual catalyst. So that's why I'm so safe playing these things unless I have a catalyst and like it's day 1 or day 2. Because even day 1 or day 2, it may be the company pumping. It's still, we still have pump and dumps, but it's not like the same. We still have some traditional pump and dumps, but they're so few and far between still, like for the last couple years. Now it's just like NASDAQ pumps. And so the key is to understand, like, float size, chart, market environment, whatever else, but really be able to gauge the catalyst. Yeah, I mean, David's saying, seems there's only a few listed plays in play every day. Chat room are going to be in them, overcrowded as hell. Yeah, and they are going to be. Jesse's saying he doesn't think chats start these. Well, who starts them? I mean, it depends. It really depends, because I have literally seen chats start these, and then I have seen them carry on throughout the day and pick up enormous volume. So it depends, a lot of times it comes down to price action, and you have one of these low floats like pop due to chat pump, whatever else, but regardless, it doesn't matter how it starts. Once shorts step in and the game starts, like a lot of times it's going to be the shorts that are the ones that are propelling the move forward in the end. So Yeah, Jesse, all I mean is like, we get a top percent gainer with a low float, with a catalyst, um, that's breaking high day like first thing in the morning or morning spiking. Then you have Ross Cameron, you have Dekmar, you have all these guys, Tim even, who will be buying these stocks, and naturally thousands of subscribers under those three guys alone can add up to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of shares. So the point is, I don't care how exactly it starts. I want to know if it's sustainable, and if it's strictly a chat pump, it's not sustainable. So when one chat midday is buying a stock and then like SAEX and then it fails, that's a chat pump, and then it's a failed chat pump. But I have seen at times chat pumps turn into actual moves. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And the only thing that will tell you the story is the volume. So anyways, on the other side of the token, so we have all these chat rooms now. We've had chat rooms for a while, but they're obviously gaining in popularity. I think there's a lot more people trading these days, due to Tim and whoever else. And Tim's spending just such a shit ton on marketing every month, and so does Ross Cameron. All these guys, they're spending a lot of money to bring people in. But then you've got like Ducks, and you got MIC, like Modern Rock over at MIC, him and Alex, AT09 on Twitter or whatever. So we've got multiple short bias chat rooms now. Is anyone in Dux's room? Yeah, so from what I heard, with from a buddy of mine who's in freaking in Dux's room, was like he gave us his trade plans basically, like this is what I'm going to short, this is where. Yeah, it's just like I don't know. All I know is that we're going to see chat pumps in the opposite direction. We're going to see chat dumps. I'll have to coin that phrase, chat dumps. And we're also going to see squeezes because of that. Just like chat pumps create opportunity for short sellers. I think these chat dumps will also create some bigger squeezes eventually. The more and more people who are shorting, we're going to see more and more crowded shorts. If I was like a great short seller, I would be kind of pissed, like with that there are short chat rooms now. That would kind of bother me. Like on one hand, you have win at your back. On the other hand, like you need borrows. You know what I'm saying? You need borrows. And like prior to this, there was already competition for borrows. You know what I mean? But now you got Bao over there teaching people how to do it, and Ducks teaching people how to do it. And granted, the majority of people still have smallish accounts, so they're not going to be able to short like them. But just the fact that that's happening, I think it's a good and it's a bad thing. We're going to see a lot of amateur shorts just getting fucked all the time, and we'll as to the long side, you'll be able to take advantage of it. But I also think they're going to kill a lot of moves prematurely. Maybe moves that would have ran in the past are just being shorted to shit now by everyone, as opposed to prior to that, where people are left in the dark and all they can do is buy stock. So I don't know. I think it's both going to create massive squeeze, and it's also going to create just like a lot of failed moves. So it's going to be different. I think things are changing a little bit in terms of the scheme and how listed stocks are being traded right now. And a lot of it does come down to what we're seeing. Yes, super choppy. Like NASDAQs are always choppy, but from what's been happening recently, they're just super choppy. Like the pools are harder and the bounces are bigger. Like, and I think part of that has to do with just being crowded shorts. You know, once it gets to a level where you have a lot of shorts covering, it's just going to prop the stock up and create levels of support from the short sellers covering and then dip buyers buying. So I'm trying to adapt a little bit to it. I think that's what's happening. You know, I'm kind of trying to keep track and see what's going on. Yeah, and I'm not so convinced that some of these stocks that are doing massive volume, that there aren't HFTs or algos who are fucking with them. Like sometimes the action seems too suspicious to me, and the traps are too freaking like often and big that it's hard to believe that it's that they're not there. But that's obviously conspiracy theory. I'm still just basically focused on price action. Speaking of price action, AGRX is being a little hoe right now. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm just deciding whether or not I want to give this anymore. That's a failure to me. What, did Degmar literally just sell his AGRX? Or no? That's funny. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you think it has no influence or whatever else, but I mean, these guys have influence. They have a lot of sheep who literally just follow their trades over and over and over again. If I had 1,000 people following me in my trades, I don't think, it would be tough to lose if you're just scalping subscribers. It'd be very tough to not lose. Or it'd be very tough to lose. I'm sorry. And Jesse, when I say chat pump, they're not necessarily like starting. I'm not saying that he's like the first one to buy it and it starts the move. I'm just saying that when they buy it, it's going to propel the move. And there'll be a lot of artificial shit, and you got to be careful for when he sells or Tim sells or whoever sells. As you've seen, we all know that. But yeah. Like, I know he was fucking around with like some of those reverse splits like day one, when they're popping because whatever. And when someone like Degmar gets a hold of a low float, like it's almost a guaranteed win when he buys. Same with Tim. Same with any of these guys. Sorry, one sec, guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. One sec. Anyways, all right. Got to tell Tim to stop messing with the thinner OTCs. Yeah, I know, dude. I know. It's not good. It's not good. Anytime I'm in like an OTC or I'm in a position and Tim buys it, it really frustrates me. You know, that's usually for me like an exit signal. Because that's exactly what happens. Everyone gets bagged. OTC panics. And it's just not fun. Yeah, I gave him the benefit of the doubt for so long, but he has to know. He's too smart. He's been doing this for way too long. So like, yeah, I mean, to each their own. I mean, for Tim, that's one of those things that, I mean, wins and win percentage and whatnot are what dictate like subscriber base. And that's how initially, yeah, I wanted to learn to trade, but I also figured I could make some money by following his trades like meanwhiles, and that's why I signed up for his freaking alert service in the beginning. Anyone who's signing up for Tim Alerts, that's because they're there for alerts. And if you're there for alerts, that's because you're there to try to copy alerts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure all of us did it. Like, I think that's how anyone pretty much starts trading penny stocks, is like an alert service and frickin' try to follow it, make a little bit of money while you learn how to trade, that kind of scenario. And, of course they'll say, yeah, don't copy my trades, but he knows, everyone knows that copies trades. I knew when I was in the challenge chat, everyone was copying my trades. And, eventually it bothered me. So it's something that it is what it is. He's selling subscriptions. Dekmar is selling subscriptions. Warrior Trader is selling subscriptions. MIC selling subscriptions. Dux is selling subscriptions. Even I'm selling DVDs and shit. You know what I mean? So like, but in terms of like, the chat rooms, I mean, yeah, that's what happens. They're there for alerts. It's all newbies. They're going to chase. They know what the hell they're doing and they're going to panic. So anytime like one of the big hitters, aka Tim or someone, enters a stock that I'm in, it usually throws me off my game. You know what I mean? If sometimes I'll just use that, and I'll use that extra perk if I have a good position to just take the rest of my position off. So yeah, I mean, there are some that are very, that when Tim buys them, especially the OTCs, it basically becomes a pump. And everyone knows Tim, he doesn't hold for more than like 20% gains. And so you can pretty much be damn sure when he buys an OTC that's being thinly traded, there's about 20% upside from that point at, on any given trade, and many times less. So I try not to look too much into it, but you obviously want to know when certain chat rooms are buying shit. And for like Ross Cameron and Dekmar, it's kind of easy because they'll announce it at times. But I got a buddy who comes and trades with me once in a while, and he'll pull up like Dekmar. He's MIC. He's got everyone's chat rooms, and it really kind of did open my eyes to see how much influence these chat rooms do have on the price. And anytime a chat room is influencing a price, it's artificial. I mean, the volume may be there, but it's still artificially moving due to one person buying and a bunch of sheep, chasing. So that's why I'm saying, like with Dux's room and some other now MIC, anyone who's alerting shorts in real time, it's going to be it's going to be very interesting, you know, because they have sheep too who are going to be chasing shorts, just like there are people chasing Tim. Um, yeah, and it's one of those things where if Dux is taking massive size, it's going to give all these other guys in the room the confidence to take as much size as they can. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I just see a lot of people blowing up is what's going to happen, in my opinion. And there'll be a lot of people who bank on it. It's pretty much going to come down to your bankroll and discipline, you know, if you're in one of those chats. So it's kind of crazy times we're living in right now, and we're trading in. That's the sense I'm getting more and more. I don't think I think this year there are a lot of moves that have been stifled, and then we've seen a couple moves this year that have just been massive, and you will have short sell chat rooms like, you know, shorting at every level. So it is. Okay, bye, Mom. Love you. Sorry, my mom was here. Yes, I love my mother. Yeah, man. So we'll see how all this plays out, but I do think it's very interesting, and I think you know, the change in the chat room environment and the climate and, like, you know, the amount of them and what's going on right now is having an effect, and maybe more profound than we even know right now on what's happening. So the patterns are kind of changing. We're getting better bounces, and we're getting, you know, a lot of moves just get whacked early. So it's going to be a matter, especially with these listed stocks, of trying to identify that kind of thing. So it helps to know when Dux is short and his chat room short. It helps to know when MIC is short. I'm contemplating just subscribing to everyone's service and putting it all up on one screen, having everyone's chat on one screen. I think that would be an advantage, to be honest, with so many things, you know, with the way that they can affect stocks these days. Hell, that would be a freaking good website. You know what I mean? It's obviously illegal to, like, stream someone else's crap, but sorry, one sec, guys. I'll let this shit get out of control here. Talking to you. I'm out. I lost like $500 on that trade, $600. Freaking terrible, guys. And I may have sold dead bottom if 70 cents holds up at this point, which it looks like it's trying to. Nope. Freaking die and make me feel better about myself. So it's exactly what we spoke about earlier. I was getting greedy. I had $1,000. That's all I was looking for. Didn't take it. Tried to let it hold, but it was freaking dead. You know, it's not. I pretty much blame you guys. Just kidding. But I do. I blame you guys. That's fine. Didn't work out. No problem. And now that daily chart's very ugly. I was banking on if it could hold up and give me another doji or something like that, maybe being able to swing into tomorrow, getting gap up kind of situation. But instead, I had to cut. And I lost $700. That's all right. All right, 1 sec, and we'll finish power hour here. Hold on, let me just grab my drink. All right. Where the hell did... Okay. Yeah, so I mean, my top watches at this point, I don't have any. There's OHGI. I could see that going on tomorrow again. Holding up decently. This would be one of my main watches, but I really don't like it. But clean chart today. Yeah, Givo I saw yesterday was up a bit. Yeah, and I'm just not going to play this. You know what I mean? Like, it set some resistance at $5, and it's just like such a dog. Like, anytime this shit happens, like, none of this is really gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, this space here is probably gonna stay left untouched for a while. Ugly, ugly. I don't see Givo breaking. You know, I mean, maybe it can run. I don't see it running a lot. But I could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong. But that's just my opinion from seeing these freaking moves so many times. But it has a nice little perk right now. I'm just not going to touch it. OHGI. Anyone see any OTCs that you guys have been looking at or tracking? I mean, I have a couple on my scan, but they're mostly low volume. YGYI is still going to be one of my top watches. I mean, I think this chart still, you know, gives shorts the go ahead to keep hitting it hard at basically $9.50 and $10. It's like a $10 risk, but I could see this, you know, it's done pretty big volume today. If this can hold up, I don't know, pretty big crack. We'll see though. You know, it is volatile, and I could see this making a move only because of the sector and the float. You know, people like that low floats in hot sectors kind of thing. So. But for now, firm resistance at 950, and that's what you have to play off of, 950, 980. So no great trade there for now. YGYI, OHGI, same kind of thing. Like at this point, you could buy any of these pulls and be, trying to get another day out of it tomorrow, but. But I'll leave it. AGRX did a little double bottom there. See if that holds. Don't really care at this point. Kind of bitter about it. OHGI, yeah, I mean, we have some decent percent runners, but they're just not ideal. Low priced kind of medium float stocks with OHGI, AGRX, with YGYI. I mean, this is a matter of, it's up freaking $3, overnight when yesterday it had closed at $6. So, and I don't see any new news. It's just like random squeeze. Like if you look what caused this morning pre-market, this thing gapped up freaking, this thing gapped up $1.50 on just no news and no volume basically. I mean, this morning it gapped up on a couple thousand shares, like less than 20,000 shares, and then the open hit, but we'll see. This is the kind of chart that does have squeeze potential. I just, I just don't have the conviction on it for now. That could have easily been a double top on the daily. You know what I mean? And the big pic, you always have to keep big picture in mind always. So big picture right now for YGYI, double top on the daily. Maybe if we get preferably there'd be a couple consolidation days here. Maybe between $8 and $9 or something, and then get a break, and then I'll be much more likely to play it. PEIX I've seen a couple times. Ethanol. Big-ish float. Yeah, not going to chase that. I mean, nice red-green move, basically. What's a red-green? Yeah. Trump was supposed to announce something 20 minutes ago. I see. Yeah, because Gevo has that freaking, they're isobutyryl. Isn't that what it was? If I remember correctly, isobutyryl. I think they do ethanol too, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was just isobutyryl. Yeah, I blame Rex 100%. Good call, Big Papa. I call him 100%. It's Rex's fault. Let's see. Super boring, guys. So annoying. And that's why it's so important. Like, months like this where they just drag on and we don't have, any sustainable like momentum in the markets in terms of the listed plays. That's why it's so important to nail the one when you get that sector momentum. That's what can make up for a lot of the slow months. And that's why, some of you have still managed to do fine because your bread and butter is OTCs and like OTC breakouts and OTC weed plays. which is like a totally different beast. And that's why it's good to have that up your sleeve. I mean, you guys are all here to learn how to trade listed stocks more, but hell, the opportunity hasn't really been there so much outside of, some random sector momentum, some pot sector momentum, a couple weeks of like, some momentum here and there in terms of low floats, but we haven't had like any great catalyst really where you're like, wow, and then we get, massive parabolic squeeze kind of thing. We haven't had many day twos. Like it's been weird. It's definitely been weird. And I've still done okay, and that's strictly from capitalizing on, the better plays, and I've been very picky. But it's tough right now. I know for a fact if I'm just taking trades that I would take in other market environments where we actually have momentum and stuff, those trades are not working right now. So let's see here. And that's what, when things are slow, especially with listed stocks, you don't want to force it. You never really want to force trades, but especially with the listed stocks, like, and especially long, when the momentum is not there, advantage short seller, period. Like when the volume's not there, I mean, I think YGYI could get interesting. Or it just gets stuffed at 9 here and it's dead. We'll see. OHGI, a big pool, it looks like. Pretty big pull there on OHGI. Could be a dip buy. Could be the end of this move. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Just reaching, man. So annoying. I'm just pining for things to really get going so we can actually put work in, so I can actually trade. Like, yeah, I've been working on my DVD and whatnot, but the opportunities have not been as great with the listed stocks. Trump plans to lift a ban on summer sales of higher ethanol blend of gasoline, delivering a long-sought win to the Farm Belt ahead of November's midterm elections and angering the refining industry. Well, that would explain PEIX then. At least they have a catalyst. Bigger float, but doing big volume. This is something I'm actually kind of interested in, maybe for a swing. Just a little bit bigger float. I don't know if this run was in anticipation to that. And if that's the case, this already might be priced in, It was, okay. So it may already kind of be priced in anyways. That was probably the reason for this pop. But certainly upside if it can close over $3, especially. But, when I'm looking at shit like this, that something's wrong. That's how I feel. Like the fact that this is even on my radar at all. So what else, guys? Questions, concerns? Yeah, it's freaking stupid, all of this. Dude, and you guys, like, you know, if I'm not, you know, I'm pretty busy right now. Obviously, once this DVD is done, it'll be a little different. But dude, anytime any of you want to talk, you have my number. Like, just hit me up. And if I don't answer, freaking text me. Dude, oh my God. So I got to change my number. I'm going to, I got to change my number. I'm going to be, I'll give you guys my number when I get the new number because freaking website guy put my damn cell phone number on the receipts for the DVDs. So I've been getting inundated with like texts and calls from random numbers all over the world basically, and answering like hello, and it took me like a couple days to realize. And this is kind of a recent development, so it's like the last 100 people basically who have bought it. And I just started getting calls from random people, like, and they're like, "Hey, when's the DVD coming out?" I'm like, "How do you have my number?" And you know, they told me, "Oh, it was on the receipt as the customer service number." So I'm like tripping. I'm so upset. But when I get a new number, I will definitely get it over to you guys. Such a pain in the ass, man. Swear to God. But yeah, freaking, you know, give me a call if you guys ever have any issues. Like I, you know, I have another group now that I'm messing around with. They're more newbies. Like otherwise, I'd combine you guys. Like, but I don't want to do that. I like this group. Like I like you guys how you are. So you know, I'm gonna keep you guys separate always. But but yeah, they don't have access to me like outside of the, you know, outside of webinars and stuff like that. And then we have a chat like I'm in basically in the mornings for the first 30 minutes or something like that. But yeah, it's a different climate. Like I'm answering more newbie questions and it's kind of annoying. But with you guys, freaking call me, dude. Like if you have issues, we'll chat. And we should be, like, you guys should be hitting me up. Obviously not all day, every day. But hell, like once a week or whatever, if you want to go through a trade, freaking call me, man. Like, even if I don't have a good answer for you, it's good to talk about shit, like in person, on the phone, whatever it is. And I know a lot of you keep in touch and keep each other accountable and stuff like that, which is awesome. But dude, if you ever need an ear for like 30 minutes, just hit me up. Let's see. What do I think of SPY? I was looking at it earlier. I don't know. Probably just same old. We'll probably hit new highs soon. That's what I think. I think we'll probably keep hitting new highs for like years. And people are going to keep saying every one of these corrections is a crash. But we're still healthy. I mean, I still see this as quite healthy, you know? Here's a crash. You know, here's a crash. Like, oh, '08. That's what a real crash looks like. The rest have just basically been corrections. So even this, like people were saying, here's the end. You know, this is the crash. But put it this way, this looks better than this. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see what happens though. I'm not qualified really to tell you what's going to happen with SPY. But I can tell you that, like, I've seen a lot of now through this period, people saying it's going to crash, and it just keeps rescuing itself and moving onward. I think we're really strong right now. That's what I think. But who knows? Who the hell knows? Like, if I had the answer to what the SPY's going to do, I would be freaking not trading penny stocks. You know what I mean? Pop asks, do I ever have problems with stupid trades after having some really good wins? Totally. Especially if I put together like a string of good wins and I'm sitting flush like for the month. Say I'm up like 30, 40K on a month or something like that. Yeah, sometimes I'll get a little lazy because you feel like you're playing with house money at times. You know, it's like, well, you're still super green. And that's a dangerous mentality for sure. Once you get kind of sloppy, it's easy to give gains back. You know what I mean? It's so easy. And you get kind of overconfident at times when you're having so many good wins in a row. You have to keep everything in perspective. And just treat them like, just do your best. And I have to always tell myself this too, but to like keep trading objectively. Don't let your wins like take you over the edge and put you in uncomfortable spots just because you're used to winning. Totally good question though, dude. It happens it still happens to me all the time. So yeah, all you can do is try to correct that. Like if you know it's happening, and you know when it's happening because you're just like, why the hell did I take that trade? And you're taking stupid losses. Then you pull it back and get right back into gear. Like what was making you successful prior to that? Maybe whatever the pattern or sector that you're crushing on is done. So you got to just pull back and then wait for the next, opportunity to start getting aggressive again. But once I lock in good gains, I'm really trying to preserve them. And you're right there, dude. That's all you got to do. Like with you, Papa, all you got to do is freaking preserve those gains, dude. Like don't let the losses get out of hand. And obviously easier said than done, but part of that is like pulling back a little bit once you've recognized that, you know what I mean? Pulling back on size, on frequency of trading, like whatever it may be. And I try to look at it like that. Like if I've smashed a sector real good, and then, the front side of that sector move, it may be done, then try to pull back off of it and pull back off of all trading. You know what I mean? Especially when things are slow. Like if you're having killer months this year, you really have to preserve it. And I think that's one thing I've done really well this year, although I haven't been trading as much. When I'm nailing plays, I've been able to preserve that by not taking dumb losses afterwards. I mean, even if your ratios are correct, you still don't want to be taking 5, 7, small losses in a row, especially if you've only had a couple good gains that month. So, but that's a good question, dude. And it's a good problem to have, put it that way. You know what I mean? Like that's something that's totally, you can totally fix that. And you recognize it. I think you already probably know the answer. Like you just got to pull back and get back to what makes you successful and stick to like your guns. Totally, dude. And that the same thing, like I don't take massive losses, but the same thing I've been in danger of in the past, which is like you have a great win streak and then you take a massive loss because, dude, what happens is you go on a win streak, it gets your freaking ego inflated, it gets your confidence like way over inflated, and then the market will correct it for you. You know what I mean? When you get overconfident like that, which happens to me, like then you're taking size in places you shouldn't be taking size, and then you're not cutting where you should be cutting because you're used to winning. You know what I'm saying? And you're used to having these good wins. So like that's generally what ends my aggression when it comes to like sector momentum and stuff is like a decent loss. You know what I mean? That's what usually does correct me. The key is to make sure that that loss is under control. You don't want to have like a great win streak and then take a massive loss. You know what I mean? And that's like, I mean, it's just so frustrating because it'll wipe out so much work that you've done up until that point. So you got to keep it totally in perspective and really try, like, especially like any kind of streak you're on, keeping it way in perspective. Yeah, and it's a tough thing, dude. It's totally tough. We're talking about like psychology here. But you have to know, like, especially once it becomes a pattern of like big wins, great streak, and then big loss, like Okay, so now you have a pattern of that. You have identified that, and you have to eliminate that. And yeah, the only way is to obviously have risk in mind. Try to keep trading objectively. Don't get overconfident or cocky, and start playing with too much size where you shouldn't be, or being in places you shouldn't be. You'll get it, dude. You'll correct that. But it's super important because it's freaking demoralizing. You know what I mean? Like 10 steps forward, 9 steps backward sucks. But 10 steps forward, 2 steps backward, that's cool, dude. You know what I mean? It's okay to take a loss after a win streak. You just got to keep it under control. But I think that's a great question. I haven't even thought about that. But that's happened to me, man. Like when low floats get going, like the Bitcoin thing even, I took a couple decent losses at the end of it, and I'm like, okay, freaking shit's done. You know, leave it alone. Who is Noobs? Who is Noobs? Did you change your name? Because I have no clue who Noobs is. That just happened. Okay. Freaking confuse the shit out of me, dude. Keep your name the same, bro. Banned? Yeah, remember what happened last time you changed your name, bro? Couldn't get back in for like a week. Bacon. Yeah, it was bacon. That's right. Anyways, yeah, hell if I know what SPY's gonna do, but if I had to, so if you put a gun in my head, I said we'll make new highs soon. What else? That's it, dude. OGI still hanging in there, but freaking not something I'm gonna trade. Come on. Yeah, Jesse brought up a good point on that topic, like, and it's kind of what I was saying, like, once you get on a streak, obviously, and your account's growing, and you're able to take more size, and you have more confidence, it's a totally dangerous time. Like, I don't know. And it's one of those things, like I said, like, you have these gains, you know, you're sitting on gains, you're plus on the month, and you're on a streak, and it's only natural tendency to, like, to size up and get and take more risk and want to grow more and faster and have bigger gains. But that's exactly what happens. Like that happens to me too. Like I get more conviction. I'm doing so great. Okay, I'm going to take big size, and that changes things. Big size changes things. You know what I mean? Especially long, man. Like I was talking to Tux about this for like an hour when I was in Orlando, and because he does a ton of, you know, data tracking. So is Gritani right now. I spoke with both of them. They're both working with like Matty Owens at Triforce Trader and coming up with, they're trying to like get into algos, but basically they're also trying to get good, you know, hard probabilities on some of these setups. And the fact of the matter is the highest odds setups statistically are short sells, like are short setups. They're the most identifiable, and they're the highest odds setups, period. And that's why Dux and Gritani and these guys can size in so freaking hard. But when you watch them trade live, like it's a totally different ballgame, man. Like Gritani may be taking a feeler at $7 with $8 risk. You know what I'm saying? And his feeler might be 10,000 shares. Like That's a totally different ball game, and way out of the realm of what most people are going to be able to do ever. So it is quite different, but it was eye-opening. I mean, and I was speaking to Ducks because I've had issues in terms of, like, I've done great growing my account and steadily, and I've taken better gains than most people can long, I think. But at the same time, I haven't been able to scale it. Like, you haven't seen me taking massive positions yet long because I haven't been able to scale it. Like, if you're buying, like, you know, say kind of an ABCD pattern, or you're trying to buy a higher low, or you're dip buying a panic or anything like that, like, you don't want to get caught with size, you know, especially like once these moves die and volume dies down, and if you're holding size, it's just too sketchy. Now, the same can be said, obviously it's dangerous to take massive size short, but, you know, if you're a master of risk reward, I mean, yeah, you'll take some big losses, but you'll also have massive gains. So they're playing the same game I'm playing, just on a massive, you know, a much bigger scale, which I have not been able to figure out how to scale to, and I don't think I ever will, to be honest. And I think that's why most of the biggest traders in this space, in fact, all of them, are short sellers. All of them. You know, all the biggest players in this game are short sellers. I'm about as close as it gets on the long side, and like I said, I'm having issues scaling. I mean, I can still take like 100K position, something like that, but I don't have the conviction, nor like feel the odds are correct for me to take massive size long. But you could take decent size, you know what I mean? Ducks and I were speaking about it, like the reason he's able to do what he does is because he knows the statistics are in his favor, the probability is in his favor, and that's very powerful, and that's what gives him conviction. For me, like, especially once we get momentum going and I'm playing, you know, some early momentum kind of plays, and I'm getting in early, a lot of times the volume's not completely there yet. You know, it's not like massive volume. So I can't be taking massive size and risk volume dying. And then, you know, in order for me to get out, I have to piecemeal it out shares at a time, which I've been there. So that's why I know. And that's why I'm super careful. So ultimately, you know, the end game, I believe, is short. I really do. And I've said that this whole time. But if you're growing a small account, you know, or even a decently, you know, it doesn't have to be tiny, but if you have any sort of account, even if you have a massive account, I think it's super helpful to be able to identify and make money from the longs as well. Because some of the moves, especially when these things are moving, are just freaking ridiculous. And I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to profit from both sides. That being said, I spoke with Matty Owens there as well. I wasn't able to speak in detail to him about it, but I think I am going to take some of the long setups and run them through some algos, and like, you know, they're like scraping data, a bunch of data. So I'm going to, you know, to automate the process. So it's not all putting tickers in by hand into a spreadsheet and then having to, you know, compute it that way. It's all done by computer, and they can do it super fast. So I am contemplating actually getting some statistics out there, and trying to find some probabilities on some of these setups in different sectors and first green days, and, you know, kind of trying to put some parameters in there for what I like to trade, and then get some percentages that might give me enough conviction in certain scenarios to take big size. But yeah. Anyways, point being, you do have to be careful. And, you know, as you're doing better, you have to be even more careful. That's the way I see it. We're in the game of preserving gains. You know what I mean? We have to preserve gains. When you get them, when you get great gains, freaking preserve them, man. You know what I mean? Don't accept giving all that money back ever. Don't accept that. And obviously easier said than done. But I'm sure you can identify emotionally, and, you know, in terms of strategy, where your shortcomings are when stuff like that happens. And Jesse even said it, like, you start sizing up too much, too fast, you're too overconfident, and then next thing you know, you're taking a big loss. So But like I said, it's a good problem to have. A lot of people are just trying to, have any sort of win whatsoever, like any sort of win streak. So David asks, how do I approach it when I keep taking small losses, sticking to risk and setups? Yeah, if I'm taking a bunch of small losses, it usually means that I'm not being patient enough. A, B, I may be trading the wrong patterns. And C, maybe my risk reward is not correct. Maybe my risk is too tight, and maybe I have too many shares with too tight a risk, and I need to widen it a bit and let these stocks have a little bit of room to breathe, especially because they're so choppy lately. Everything's so choppy, the NASDAQ stocks right now. For me right now, it's been a game of taking smaller size and widening my risk, believe it or not. Like, that's how I've kind of been coping with this. Yeah, I mean, that's the advice I would give. I would say maybe take a little bit smaller size for now, widen your risk a little bit, maybe find more established levels to be playing off of. Obviously not trading midday. It's a difficult environment right now, I think. I think it is. And it's been that way all year. But it's fine, man. Small losses are okay. They're okay. And it sucks, when you have a small account, that will obviously eat at your account pretty quick. But it's better than freaking wiping out your whole small account in one trade. So it's one of those things, take 10 small losses. That's okay. Don't take one big loss. And eventually, hopefully, if you're doing the right things, you're going to have a turnaround. No one loses or wins forever. Biscuit John was up 3K, give it all back over trading. Dude, and that's the worst. Over trading is one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. It just is, sometimes when you're super synced up with the stock and the price action, you can nail it multiple times, rock and roll. But my experience is just that. Like, if I've had a couple profitable trades, and next thing I know, I'm over trading, I will most likely give it back. And that sucks. It's a shitty feeling because it's like you're wasting your time. Dom asked, do I ever go over my own set of rules and make adjustments with what I'm allowed to do and how I want to trade certain things based off of my own self-awareness of how I've been doing? Bad string of trades, poor setup choices, etc. Totally. Dude, that's the entire game. Once you realize, once you have control over your risk reward, okay, which is so important, and cutting losses quickly, you can find the runners, you know exactly what you're doing, and dude, yes, it's 100% that process, and that's all this whole thing is. Like you have your set of rules, okay? I have my set of rules. Like one of them is no midday trading, okay? Today, I took a midday trade on AGRX, and I friggin' lost. You know what I mean? I was up, but I lost. And it was just another, it's just one of those things. It's like, that's against my rules. You know what I mean? That being said, like, I know exactly what you're saying, though. Like, and that's why it's so important, so you're always moving on to the next trade, okay? But you always have to go back and look at your last trades. Like, that is where you'll get your information. The best information about yourself is by going through your trades. And all I'm doing when I'm looking through my trades, it's a little bit different than obviously what Dux and some other people are doing in terms of tracking. For me, it's a simple performance measurement tool. I want to see where I've been struggling, where I've been bleeding money, like where I've been losing, and then eliminate those. So my rules always change. I'm always adjusting based on my previous results. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm doing, and that's what will keep you progressing as a trader. Like, going through your trades, seeing where your shortcomings are, and then and then consciously rectifying them, you know? And it's just what you're talking about, like self-awareness. And the more you do that, the more like in the moment you're self-aware, if that makes sense. Like the more you can identify your shortcomings, the more you're aware when they are in play. Like when you're actually doing what you're not supposed to be doing, you know it. And that'll keep you safe too. That'll keep you way safe. So look at what you've done good, look at what you've done bad. What I do is I do it at the end of the month now. I just go through my trades for the month, see what I was doing right and wrong. And then obviously as market environment changes and different things changes, yeah, my rules change, man. You know what I mean? Like my core set of rules, like cut losses quickly, not chasing, obviously, having set risk reward, knowing my risk reward, having a trade plan, what's my trade plan, all that kind of stuff. That's all core. I won't ever change that. Like I won't ever change knowing what my risk reward is. I won't ever change. I won't ever change cutting losses quickly. I won't ever change having a plan. You know, all that kind of stuff is the core. But everything else, midday trading, over trading, under trading, not taking gains when I should be, not sizing inappropriately and sizing out, taking too much size, like all that kind of stuff. That is stuff that you definitely can rectify just by looking through your old trades. You know what I mean? And seeing where you go wrong. Like Papa John's talking about an identifiable pattern for him. And that's what you're looking for, are patterns within your own behavior that you can alter, that will keep you away from big losses and that will keep you progressing in the right direction. And that's so key. That's so key. It's really, really important. Especially some of you guys who are like really on the precipice of like breaking through. You know, that could make the difference between where you are now and getting to the next level are very simple tweaks. You know what I mean? Nothing major. Very simple tweaks. And obviously, like as NASDAQs go going and we get into those and you can experiment with them in small size, kind of, you know, try to figure them out. That'll, you know, you have to take that into account. Like when you're trying new strategies and you're trying out new things, you have to trade small and then have that same process there. Find what works for you, find what doesn't work for you, and then keep eliminating what doesn't work for you. Just over and over, rinse and repeat every day. But that's a great, you know, those are really good questions. And that's the juice there. Like everyone wants to know the patterns. But it's not so much, you know, my patterns aren't your patterns, aren't anyone else's patterns. You know what I mean? Like I hate that. It's one of my least favorite questions. Like, what's your favorite setup? Like, oh, what's your favorite patterns? Like, I don't know, the ones that make money. You know what I mean? The ones that have good risk reward. I don't give a shit if it's a cup and handle or a frickin' ascending triangle or any of that. Like I'm aware when they're there, but that doesn't mean anything to me. It's just, am I going to be profitable or not? And what setups work for me? What's the best risk level? Like, and try to use that and stick to it. You know what I mean? I mean, there are certain patterns that are discernible, but a lot of them, especially long, it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's not like just breakouts. And in fact, I find listed breakouts to frickin' suck. I don't like them that much. I mean, I play them, don't get me wrong. It's a pattern I play. But it's not like, you know, initially when I started trading and for quite a long time, that's all anyone's looking for are breakouts. OTCs are a little bit different, obviously, and the breakouts are more dependable. But yeah, it's not so much the patterns I'm playing, but my pattern of behavior and my patterns of what I'm doing, you know? It's not the pattern of the chart as much as like my personal habitual patterns and like what I'm doing correctly and incorrectly, and then rectifying the bad things. And for everyone, it's different. Good questions. Feel like you can go way bigger long on OTC because of cleanliness of charts and support resistance and just the way they move slower with trend versus choppiness of listed, assuming liquidity is there. 100%. I agree. I do agree. That being said, I'm careful. You know, you obviously have to be careful there as well. Too much size, and it's liquidity. It does come down to liquidity. But you don't want it, you know, if you're taking big size, you got to be, you know, you got to be safe and have your levels correct. Obviously not chasing freaking OTCs and then getting stuck in some sort of panic. But yeah, I agree. So much cleaner, especially these days. NASDAQs have been as choppy as I've seen them. They're generally choppy, but they've been super choppy, man. Super choppy. Oh, YGYI. I was just talking way too much. I wasn't trading at all. Son of a bitch. Wow. I mean, not to say I would have traded this anyways, but that's a solid breakout here. Just kind of straight up, though. But that's freaking solid. That's really nice. Big ass pull, though. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, generally, you get a parabolic into close like that. I would have taken off most of my position had I had it anyways. But my thoughts on YGYI is it can fucking run. Like, this thing could definitely squeeze and run tomorrow. But it also could just fail miserably. You know what I mean? It's a lowish float. You guys have seen what these pot stocks are doing. They're so freaking choppy. But I mean, it looks good to me. That's a nice break. That's a nice close there. Anyways, we'll wrap up today. Like I said, guys, I'm really sorry for the freaking lack of webinars and presence over the last couple weeks, but we'll get back on track. Tomorrow, I'm planning on doing market open. Unless something changes, I'll let you guys know either way. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Like I said, any of you need something, freaking hit me up so we can chat. I'll go into tomorrow all cash. That's what it looks like. But we'll get together in the morning. Like I said, I'll let you guys know first thing. Hopefully we'll be doing a webinar in the morning. Hey, quick question. Was this super choppy or was the stream actually decent today? All right. Yeah, we're probably going to move to a different platform and then eventually to the website. But cool, at least it worked. I'll post a replay just for those guys who didn't make it and whatnot. But we'll catch you in the chat in a little bit. Everyone have a good one.